Hey everybody, it's Dave Swartz again here for another episode of Dose of Dave. So today we are talking about the idea of good and bad. What is good and what is bad? Is there such thing as good and bad? So today is again going to be kind of a mind-bending discussion because I think everybody has a very personal experience, like a lot of these things, with good and bad things that have happened to them in our lives collectively. When I think we think about good and bad, there's a particular choice I think we would all choose if we were given the option. Do you want something good to happen to you? Do you want something bad to happen to you? I think we would all go with the good, right? So for me, when you look at the idea of good and bad, it's really much more of this idea of good things not happening, right? It's not necessarily that there's bad things, it's that the good things that you wanted to have happen just didn't happen, or something even worse that you couldn't even imagine going wrong went wrong. So I think in our minds, in our collective culture, in ways we have kind of constructed this societal construct of good and bad, so that we can communicate to one another, so that we can understand and relate to one another. But I guess the other question that comes to mind with good and bad is it just that? Is it just a human construct that we've put together in order to understand one another, or to understand and relate to our world, and just the accidental happenstances that happen to us, or is there also a part in it that is intrinsic, instinctual, part of who we are as conscious beings? Because there's not a whole lot about our relationship to consciousness that we understand as a collective, to an extent that I think we can answer these questions more definitively. Right now, a lot of these things are still in the realm of philosophy. So in my mind, I think it's both. I think it's, again, no matter who you are, you're going to have a different perspectives and a different outlook, a different personal relationship with what we're talking about here. And because of that, you can see it in both ways. You can see it as it's good and bad is just a societal construct, and that's all it is. You can decide personally as a sovereign adult what you deem as good and what is bad, because I think we all have very wide definitions of what that is. And then on the other side, we have just this instinctual, sort of, this is what is good in the universe, this is what is bad in the universe. And I think a lot of us kind of fluctuate back and forth. However, I think there is this even grander or greater kind of truth underlying this discussion of good and bad. It's interesting I said that right at 333 on the live thing, which is cool. So yeah, I feel as though we can pull back a little bit more, not really necessarily looking at the divisions that exist within this very physical, traditional societal construct of good and bad, and this more ethereal kind of fate, if you will. Because I don't think it kind of works like that, because I think still within these two arenas, there's this concept that good things that happen to you are positive things, and bad things that happen to you are negative things, or at least things that seemingly set you back, versus good things that maybe propel you forward, or surround you with the support that that you deserve, right? Because again, this all this idea of good, I think, boils down to love and support. Do you feel loved? Do you feel supported in your life, in your purpose, in your passions? So for me, good and bad It's not necessarily this concept of, is this positive for you? Is this negative for you? It's actually what is supporting your purpose and your passions, and what is not supporting your purpose and your passions. And that can be very wildly different on the outside from what we would traditionally see as good things and as bad things. Let me see if I can come up with an example. So, we may look at a golden opportunity, excuse me, to maybe have a great job offer, right? Lots of money, lots of status, manager of a big corporation, whatever it might be. But with that choice, it may seem good on the surface, but with that choice comes a lot of personal sacrifice. It comes a lot of mental and physical sacrifice. Maybe your time and your money and your relation, or maybe not so much your money, but your relationships. Maybe the other things in your life that fulfill you, right? There's an imbalance there that, even though this decision to take this job might be a good thing on the surface, it ultimately turns out to be not so great, because it's killing the other parts of you that make you a whole person. On the other side of the coin, you could have something that is horrible that happens to you, like you lose your job. Seemingly on the outside, that's not a very good thing, right? But maybe what that does is it propels you into, a place where you feel as though, now this is my opportunity to change my life and go into a new direction, right? Maybe into a new direction that is ultimately a greater purpose for you, something that is good in your life. So on the outside, these things sometimes might seem good or might seem bad, but when you get down to it and you look at it from the long term, it winds up being something very different. So I guess what I'm getting at with this is, good and bad, it's very subjective, and it's very it shouldn't necessarily be looked at in a divisional kind of perspective, right? We kind of tend to judge things as, well, that was a good thing, that was a bad thing, and then try to find the gray in between. But maybe we should stop doing that and start just looking at everything as an agent of our evolution, of our personal development, as propelling us towards our greater purpose, our greater joy. So, because if we're in tune with that energy, if we're in tune with this feeling of gratefulness for who you are and for what you have in your life, if you're in tune with the projects and the work that you're doing, the way in which you utilize your time to fulfill your passions, if you're within that, if you're vibrating within that energy, and then you start to look at your life not as a divisional one, but as a one of wholeness, where you see the good things and the bad things, or the positive or the negative, or the supportive and the non-supportive things in your life. You look at those as being a whole picture of propelling you forward towards your ultimate purpose. That, to me, is the ultimate way that you can kind of pull all of these different perspectives that I've discussed previously and today together into more of a holistic truth about life. Because, again, there is infinite nuance. There is infinite paradox. All of these things together should prove that there is hardly a way where we can discern between something in our life that is truly against us and something that is truly for us. Because honestly, I feel it. I mean, I don't know. For some reason, I just want to say this, and maybe spirit sticking through me, but I want to just say that I feel as though we do it to ourselves. A lot of this struggle, a lot of this feeling of bad things happening to us and things setting us back, we do upon ourselves. We create this victimhood of turmoil and struggle, that, oh, woe is me, the universe is doing this to me again, or oh, woe is me, this person is doing this to me again, or whatever it may be. That victimhood, I mean, I feel is in ways a self-inflicted prison. It's a self-inflicted ailment that we don't necessarily have to suffer from. We can pull back and see the greater truth and realize that that is what it was. It worked for me for a time. It did for me what it needed to do, but maybe it is no longer, and that is okay. Greatest example for me is my previous relationship into this current relationship. I was with someone for 2 years. At first, it was wonderful and it was very supportive, and we did, I think, wonderful things for one another. However, over time, it just fizzled out. That person, went in a different direction. I was, kind of stagnant and not really who I was. I still was at a place in my life where I was trying to be a person that the other person wanted, not who I was. That's bad. I don't, good, bad, right? That's not supportive of who I am. So, but in that moment when that relationship ended, as sad as it was, for all of the future plans, for all of the future expectations that were placed upon that relationship, gone. That is a valid thing to grieve, and that's okay to grieve. However, it propelled me forward into a place in my mind, in my will, where I said, no longer. And I decided, I'm going to put out into the universe the person that I want. I'm going to be who I am, and I am not going to lose myself again in another relationship. And about maybe a month later, I met my soon-to-be wife. And I think we moved in together a couple of months after that. It can happen very quickly. You can put things out into the universe energetically that will vibrate in a supportive way of who you are. And when that happens, that is when you can truly flourish the manifestation of the abundance that is available to you, because it is infinite. It is all around you and within you. I would say that the other thing that I haven't really discussed about good and bad, and this idea of being in a state of division, is in order for us to get out of this place, because I think that is kind of the ultimate goal. As a kid, I remember I was just thinking about this as I was toying around with the concept for this episode, because as a kid I was super into superheroes, and this constant fight between good and evil. And as you get older, you start to realize, okay, there's a lot more gray in that fight. And there's a lot more gray also within the altruistic, idealistic superhero trope. This idea of heroes don't kill, and heroes don't cross the line. Heroes don't do things that criminals would do in order to get what they need done. And that's a discussion that's been happening in our collective culture ever since I think superheroes have entered the collective culture, honestly. I mean, comics and superheroes haven't really been a huge part of our collective discourse until recently, because I think they've started to really coalesce into more of our television and our movies, our entertainment, and then that permeates into our cultural discourse. So I feel as though this concept, this idea of should a hero kill a villain in order to stop the villain from future mayhem, from future evil, is the evil of killing that evil to prevent future evil a good, right? That's a really interesting philosophical question. I think again it boils down to that discussion is within a realm of division. You can't have that discussion without living within a paradoxical, divisional, separate way of approaching the thought. That's the existence we find ourselves in this third 3D dimensional reality. We are bound by time and space. We are therefore locked into this sort of separate feeling of being completely detached from the all, right? So in that idea, should we have respect for the fact that there is separation? Or can we also have respect for that separation at the same time as acknowledging the all and going beyond that fight, that divisional fight, that divisional separation, into seeing that it just is, right? It's a difficult thing. It is in ways difficult for the mind that is very locked into the fight between good and evil, to come out of it and just sit and lay down arms and say, this just is what it is. And I think the more of us that do that, the more of us that kind of go within ourselves and find that space, find that place of truth, find that place of where good meets evil, and where you realize that they are two sides of the same coin. They are both agents of change. And in ways, you can see the peace in the togetherness of what they both do. It's weird and wild, but possible. I was thinking just earlier this week, and that's sort of what sparked me wanting to have this discussion today. I had a moment earlier this week where my heart kind of felt like it opened up a little bit, and I was able to sort of connect to this idea of gratefulness for everything that has happened to me, that has propelled me into the moment that I am in now. And that includes all of the seemingly bad things or non-supportive actions within my past, within my story. Because all of those things have also been agents of change to push me, to propel me towards the now. That's pretty amazing. And to be in that energy, to sit in that energy, to hold that energy within your being, within the moment, because remember, all there is the moment. There is no such thing as time. Also, there's no such thing as space. So you can quite literally pull the energy of your entire conscious being from your past all the way into your future, into the moment, into the now. And you can utilize that energy to propel you forward in the way in which is the most supportive for your greatest passions. So we're approaching 20 minutes. I think that's the best way I can wrap up this little discussion of good and evil, I'll say, or I said good and bad in the title, but it's more good and evil, I think. I like the word evil better. Anyway, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. I'm sort of a step cat daddy, so not entirely a fadja yet, but happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Happy Father's Day to my lovely father out there, whom is recovering from a little bout of lung cancer, but he's doing wonderful right now and recovering at home. So in celebration, I wore my Rad Dad hat. Found that at, I can't remember now, but it was one of those things where I was like, that's a cool hat, love it, gonna buy it. Even though I'm only kind of like a step cat dad, I think I can still wear it. So anyway, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. I also have another announcement. Next weekend, here in my backyard, we're going to be doing a backyard art gallery show opening and live art demonstration on Friday night and Saturday night. So the 25th and the 26th of June. It will be from 9 p.m. to midnight Eastern Standard Time. For those of you who live in the Detroit, southeastern Michigan area. If you want more information, I'm going to put a link down in the description below so you can check out the event page and purchase tickets. It's just a $5 cover, just to help me cover some of the cost of the lights and some of the other things to make the show happen. So that's happening next weekend, and I hope to be doing more of those as the summer progresses and going into the future, because I really have this passion to create abstract art, and I want to share it with you guys, even if that means putting it up in my backyard. So other than that, I also have Confederate Monster going on IndieGoGo, my comic book, which brings the world of Frankenstein into the Civil War. The link for that is down below as well. And my podcast, Higher Consciousness, has just gone into season 4. It's going to be a mini kind of season. My partner and I, Elizabeth, we are getting married this summer. So we're only going to be doing 4 episodes, little kind of just short little, one-off. We usually do 2-part episodes. We're going to do one-off episodes for the next 4 weeks. And then we're going to get married, and we'll be off for a little while, but we'll be back later on the year for more Higher Consciousness. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed this little discussion about good and bad and whether or not it exists. It's up to you. You decide. Take care, and I will see you guys next week.